Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history. I'm out here with Mr. Dan and Mr. Cecil Young, grave finder extraordinaire, who is taking us to a grave that he's just come across to document out here in Talbot County. And this grave is a long way back in the woods. This is actually Cecil's second time out here today. It was a hike back here, wasn't it, Dan?
Long way off the road.
Long way off the road. So let's take a look. So this is actually really cool rock wall around this this grave site here. There's some massive stones too in here. A lot of the rock walls that we see are a lot lower and made of a lot smaller stones. It was originally completely enclosed with no entrances. I see a big indention right there, but no marker. What do you think about this wall?
That's beautiful.
It is. I guess it was, this one was done first because it's closed off here, and this looks like an addition to the wall. But wow. So what do you know about this place, Dan?
This is the old Boynton place, and beyond that, that's about all I know about it, is that the Boynton place wound up generations later becoming the Jackson place. And the Jackson family lived in the old Boynton house, which was across the road over here. And that house is gone now. The Jacksons that live there are all deceased. And I can remember coming up here as a kid with my dad and seeing that old grave over there. Because I was telling Cecil that grave for many years, everybody said that it had no name on it. They said it was an S. And we came up here one time because I wanted to see it. I was probably about 11 years old. And when we got up here, we looked at it and it had an S, but it was face down. And my dad suggested, so let's roll it over and see if there's anything on the other side. And when he rolled it over, there was the name.
Wow.
It was SWB or something. You have to read it. It's over
Yeah.
there. But the rest of these are just unmarked. But that's unbelievable.
It is.
Look at the size of those stones there.
That's got to be the most impressive rock wall I've ever seen.
How would you like to have to haul those rocks up here?
Yeah,
Up this hill.
I was gonna say it's up a steep hill too. You can kind of look around and there's graves all throughout here.
Yeah,
You see?
It's a big cemetery.
Yeah, there's graves over there. It might be one right there.
You can see the faint outline of one there.
Yeah.
But probably about 20 or 25 years ago, they clear cut everything, and I can remember you could see the cemetery on the hill from the road because it was just a hill and with a little cluster of trees at the top. You couldn't see the cemetery, you could see the trees, of course. But,
Yeah.
if you look over there, you can see that's been clear cut over there on the other side.
That's a heck of a wall right there.
Yes, it is.
That's a grave, isn't it? I think that's one right there. Do you think that's a grave right there, Dan?
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Salt place.
You can see right there too.
And you know, it's strange that this is called the Boynton Cemetery, but the only Boynton marked grave is outside this enclosure.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder who is buried over in these walls, because this was obviously a person of importance.
Right.
Several people of importance.
I wonder how much later this part was added on to. stones are just a little bit different. Those stones have been kind of cut, whereas these look more just naturally filled in. And this was a beautiful monument. It's
These walls were built with a type of mortar also.
So the walls were built with the type of mortar?
Yes. The smoothness is what gets me.
Oh, absolutely.
Smooth rock. Now the person that built this one didn't take as much pain with collecting the type of rock and stones that they did, because those are all almost perfectly square.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're cut either. I think they were probably found that way. They're just square rocks. But these look more like something that they just brought up here, you know, from the hillside.
Right.
From the fields. Huh.
And just look at the, you know, skill that it took to make this wall. Look at that straight edge right there. And then this right here just perfectly squared.
It is.
And it's lasted a real long time, because I'm sure it's a pretty old burial here.
That was a master stonemason that built that one.
Yeah. And then look at this beautiful monument out here.
That is the top of this. I should have the initials on the back side of it.
SMB.
See, that used to be the only thing that was visible.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine an 11-year-old kid and his daddy, who wasn't much bigger than, was not as big as I am,
Yeah.
rolling that thing over. But you can read this side of it.
Yeah. This would be a little bit upside down here. It says, in memory of S.M. Boynton, born March 16th, 1819, died January 2nd, 1856. I think it says, in life, honored. I just had it. In life, honored and loved by the good, and death glorified by the Christian's God. Even the base here is... I mean, everyone will be happy to know that Cecil brought a brush, because he is a professional. Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. 1856. Would you think that these graves are earlier than that, Dan?
It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
I would say they're probably around the same time.
Gotcha.
It's unusual to find any rock walled graves anywhere in this part of Georgia that have mortar between the rocks. I will say this though. The Jacksons who lived on this place later, now we're talking generations later, some of them were stonemasons.
Oh, really?
Rock masons. But that's the ones that were my daddy's age. That was like 1920s and 30s.
Right.
They may have been descended from somebody who lived up here.
Yeah, yeah, and pass down the skill.
This could be their great-grandparents buried up here or something. I don't know. But the Jacksons have their own cemetery right down the road here. It's still maintained, still used.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is somebody else, I think. But the whole area up here is just loaded with graves.
Yeah.
It's more than just a family, I think. I think it may be more or less several families. But something else to consider, these unmarked graves out here. Right over there on that hill across the branch from here is where the largest Creek Indian village in this area was located. And that's well documented. That's where holdouts were after the Indians left here. As late as 1836, there was still a bunch of them living there. And they caused a lot of trouble for the people of Talbot. And there's a letter in the Talbot County history book, the There Was a Land book by Judge Robert Jordan. I think there's a copy of a letter in there stating something about the Indians south of Talbot were causing trouble.
Yeah.
He was writing to, somebody here was writing to the governor about it. But I don't know if this is something connected to them or if this is something later.
Right.
Who knows? All the people who knew are gone.
It sure is beautiful.
While there's 3 of us here, do y'all want to try to stand that thing up the way it goes? It's heavy.
I don't know if we can get it in the cradle, it's broken, but we could be...
Yeah, we could at least stand it up where it can be read, turn it upright.
Yeah.
All right, now. All right, that lid is going to have to go somewhere.
Evicted.
Evicted out of his warm spot. Let's flip it up one more time. You're right here. Good gracious of mine.
You all right there, Dan?
I'm okay. I just wish we had not gone to Big Chick before we came up here.
Right.
The lady at Big Chick, when I said I wanted half and half tea, I meant half unsweet and half sweet. She gave us half lemonade and half sweet tea.
And it was
like syrup.
It was syrup.
But it was good, wasn't it?
It was good. Yeah, it doesn't seem as good now. It doesn't sound as good
No,
now.
The sugar's working on me now.
Yeah. Let's see if I can't set this down and get in there and help y'all. Which way are you going?
Okay. I think that's good enough.
Woo! Well, now we can read it the right way.
Yeah.
Dan's trying to hurt himself with that one. There we go. Get another shot of this now that it's the right way up. That is some detailed work on there. That is beautiful too. This took some work too, hauling those rocks for that wall up here, yeah. Hauling this up here. So you said that the Boynton house stood until recently. What kind of house was it?
It was a one-story house. I went there a lot of times with my daddy because he knew the lady who lived there. I believe her name was Minnie. I know her last name was Jackson, but I believe it was Minnie Jackson. And the woodwork inside the house was unbelievable. The house had never been painted inside, if I remember correctly. And it was sealed with wide pine boards. It had the chair rail and the wainscoting. And I remember in the hallway it had an arch. And I believe that the inside of that house is pictured in one of the Rockaway books.
Oh, okay.
But I remember going there and Daddy talking to her because he grew up around her. And he used to hunt Indian arrowheads on that hill over there because that was all in cultivation when he was a kid growing up. That was known as the peanut field. One of the farmers around here grew peanuts over there. As a matter of fact, I think he told me that the Jacksons grew peanuts over there, and that's the reason that he was able to go there, is because he was friends with them. And Daddy was also a rock mason, in addition to his other lines of work. He did the stonework on our house, and he was taught as a child, not necessarily taught, but he watched the Jacksons do masonry work around Geneva. And he watched one of the Jacksons build buttresses on the front of his mother and daddy's house. So, you know, the Jacksons, they could have originally been somehow enslaved for the Boynton family. I don't know.
The Jackson family were African Americans?
Yes, they were.
Gotcha.
And they could have originated here on this place.
Yeah.
I mean, they lived here when Daddy was growing up, and this was always called the Jackson place. I never heard of the Boyntons because, like I said, this grave was turned over, and all you could see was the initials on it.
Yeah.
And everybody in Talbot County talked about this grave being up here, talked about it having an initial, that it was the grave with the S. And nobody really knew whose it was until we came up here, and I said, well, let's roll it over. And when we rolled it over, we saw it was a Boynton. And then later, Mr. Davison wrote the Rockaway books, and he did a real detailed research on the family and the place. But I don't think I don't know, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if he put any relation to the Jacksons in there or not.
Yeah.
But the Jacksons are an old family here, and this was always their farm.
Gotcha. That's interesting. And you know, this is so the Boyntons were plantation owners. I mean, from this stone, it looks like they had wealth.
They were. And the Jacksons also built a little rock station in Waverly Hall. You know.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They built it.
So that's actually pretty interesting, because, you know, since this was a plantation, no doubt all of this was slave built, and you know, they were, whoever built that one back there, as Dan talked about earlier, was a skilled stonemason. So something like that being passed down generation to generation, that skill, that's actually pretty interesting.
And he could have been a master chimney builder or something,
Yeah.
and just built his own wall to be put over in when his time came. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know. That's speculation, but around here, back in those days, that was entirely possible.
Yeah.
I think that it could probably be investigated deeper if anybody wanted to go to the courthouse and look up some records on the land. And find out exactly what year the Jacksons came into possession of it.
Yeah.
But he died in 1856. And I don't know of any Boyntons buried anywhere else in Talbot County. There may be somebody in the Talbot Cemetery, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
I think this is the only one that's marked.
It is interesting that this Boynton here has a little stone wall, but it's just bricks. I mean, not bricks, just rocks on the ground here, not a wall. And he wasn't very old when he died either. He was born 1819, died 1856.
Yeah. And you know, back in the slavery days, all of the enslaved people didn't necessarily take the last name of their owners or their masters.
Right.
Not necessarily. And I'm sure the Boyntons owned slaves because they had such a big plantation here. But I don't recall ever hearing any African American around here last name Boynton.
Yeah.
I don't remember any. There could be, but I don't remember ever knowing them.
Right.
Not in Talbot County or Harris County.
And so there are a lot of graves out here around this wall. There's one there. And then over here, they're actually marked with field stones. This was a child here. See the footstone, and then a headstone, then another one here, there, and up there, and there. It's a very, very large cemetery here, and typically speaking, when you have something like this, you have a wall and then this other fella buried here. Outside of the wall in these unmarked graves would typically be enslaved people who were buried, or other, you know, members of the community who were of lesser means, who happened to be buried in this family cemetery. So it's really interesting to see this and, you know, just try to put together with what clues we have of how this came to be, because this is the most impressive rock wall I've ever seen. What'd y'all find there?
I just made across here with that one stone in the middle, and Cecil noticed that it's plastered, like it might have had a name on it at one time.
Yeah, sure is.
Like it might have been a name stone. This wall was finished not only on the outside smoothly, but on the inside also.
Yeah.
You notice that one over there is not finished smoothly inside.
Right. Well, I guess the only thing to do is to go over. I hope there's no rattlesnake I'm going to land on in here though.
Poke around, see if there's any.
Yeah. There's two graves in here. This one and this one over here. No markings there.
When you think about how many years leaves have been accumulating over in there, I'm surprised that it's not filled up.
Yeah. That's a big indention right there. And over here, there's another one right there. And like Dan was saying, look how smooth even the inside of this wall is. How everything's mortared together. Even with little stones. There's the mortar. This real early type of mortar. All right, well, I think I won't back out.
And there is a grave right there.
Yeah. Look at that, just sharp edges of it. That's amazing. It is really incredible to see how many graves there are outside of this rock wall. We got a field stone here, and just walking through, I see two large indentions there, and this whole top of this hill is filled up with graves. There's, you know, if we tried counting them, you know, it would probably be 50 graves at least. It's amazing once you start really seeing the rows of graves. And this very much makes me think of like burial ground for the enslaved outside of a rock wall. It's very similar to other situations I've seen that. It's interesting, and it's a mystery. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed seeing this amazing cemetery out here. Definitely phenomenal rock wall, something that I've never seen one quite like that before. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it. Big shout out to Cecil for bringing us out here, finding this cemetery, and thanks to Dan for coming along and sharing his historical knowledge as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.